Begin the Board of Adjustment meeting with a pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we got a big crowd here, but welcome to the Board of Adjustment hearing. A few items to cover before we get started. Sign in at the door. Detailed handout of the step-by-step procedure, if you wish, is out there. Put electronic devices on silent mode. Please note that all testimony is being recorded for the permanent record. Members of the Board of Adjustment are appointed by the Board of Commissioners with one member from each of the 5 commissioner districts. Land Services staff is here to assist the Board of Adjustment with its duties. The task of the Board of Adjustment is to consider requests for variances and appeals from an order, requirement, or decision made by the county zoning official in accordance with state law and county ordinance. Each request is considered on its own merit. The burden of proving a practical difficulty rests with the applicant. If a variance is granted, it is granted to the land, not to the landowner. There is a protocol for how we proceed. For each variance request on the agenda, we'll hear a staff report, hear a testimony from the applicants, and then the board will discuss and gather more information as needed. Then we'll ask anyone in the audience wishing to speak to the requests. Each party to come to the podium, state their name, address for the record, and give their testimony. Be as factual as possible, direct all statements and questions to me. After all testimony is complete, I will close the public hearing portion of the process. The board will then review and discuss the case in terms of our finding of fact criteria as required by state statute and county ordinance. We'll have a series of votes, discuss whether conditions be made, have a final motion to approve or deny the request based on those findings. After this final vote on your request, you may leave if you wish. Evening. We have one item on the agenda tonight, and that is Carter Mulzoff, 7716 260th Avenue, Piers, application for a variance to add a barn within the setback to the road right-of-way, located in Buckman Township. Would you state your name for the record, please?
Carter Mulzoff.
We'll try to say that right from now on. Thank you. Staff report?
You bet, Mr. Chair. Again, this is a variance request to construct a poultry barn within setback to the road right-of-way, located in section 17 of Buckman Township. The ordinance reference for this request is 1208.1, and that requires a 200-foot setback from the road right-of-way for animal holding areas. This is a plat map of Buckman Township, and the red dot is the location of the parcel. And then here's the variance request received from the applicant. And then a site drawing also provided by the applicant. And here is some aerial photography of the property. And then here are some photos that were taken at the site visit. The applicant owns this 20.24 acre parcel, and a tier 1 poultry layer feedlot currently exists on the parcel with 65 animal units. And then here is just an aerial photograph of the property with that barn. The feedlot is served by 260th Avenue, which is also known as County Road 236, which is a paved county road. A variance was granted in 2011 for the existing barn to be 83 feet from the county road right-of-way, which is a 117-foot encroachment into the required setback. The applicant is proposing to construct a second poultry layer barn north of the existing barn. The applicant is proposing to place the barn in line with the existing one, which is 83 feet from the county road right-of-way. A 200-foot setback is required. This is a 117-foot encroachment. All other setbacks would be met, and the feedlot would remain a tier 1 facility. An on-site incinerator is utilized for mortalities. The barns are scraped once a year, and the litter is hauled off-site. If stockpiling of litter occurs, it is for up to 3 days and is on the east, not the road side of the barn. Bird delivery and egg pickup also happens on the east side of the barn. Feed is delivered on the south side of the barn. The applicant attended a development review team meeting, and the county engineer attended that meeting and said he'd review the current operation with staff. And then I did forward you his comment. I can certainly read that when I'm done if you'd like. The applicable comprehensive land use plan goals is agriculture goal A1, objective 1, objective 4 and 8, goal A2, A3 and A4, objectives 1 and 3. And then the applicable comprehensive water plan goals and objectives is groundwater, goal 1 and 2, surface water goal, objective A, land use and development goal, objective A. 13 notices were sent. No comment was received prior to the public hearing other than what we received from the county engineer, which I said that was forwarded to you. If you'd like me to read that, Mr. Chair, I sure can.
Okay, thank you. The applicant have anything to add at this time?
Nope.
Okay. Anybody have questions for the applicant? Questions for staff?
Mr. Chair, first, Amy made a comment about county engineer. Tony had recommended some conditions, and I think we should have them conditions reviewed, and wondering if the applicant would be fine with that, because I think we should follow them, in my opinion.
I think for the benefit, Mr. Chair, for the benefit of the applicant, then I should just read the letter.
Do you have the conditions on your, that you proposed on your slide? It's on our staff report.
No, I don't, Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
My apologies. But we
Okay.
certainly can review that. So let me read this letter. All right. Please review my comments below on the Carter Molzoff application for variance at property ID 040203. Morrison County Road 236 is functionally classified as a local road, which provides traffic direct access to abutting lands and residences. The segment is primarily agricultural in nature and is utilized for agricultural operation. It also serves as a north-south cut-across for the traveling public between County State Aid Highway 26 to Trunk Highway 25. The variance previously issued in 2011 for placement of the existing poultry barn within the road right-of-way setback has not created any hardships on County Road 236 since issuance. It is unlikely that the addition of a second poultry barn in line with the existing barn will create additional hardship if managed properly. If allowing the proposed barn, please review the operating procedures of the facility and restrict use between the proposed barn and road right-of-way, allowing permanent operations such as feed storage, manure management, propane tanks, equipment and vehicle parking, etc., or additional structures between the proposed barn and road right-of-way may present safety hazards to the traveling public. These recommended conditions shall remain with the property and operation in the event the property is sold or leased to other individuals or business enterprises. Access onto County Road 236 is established south of the proposed barn, so no additional accesses will be granted to this parcel. So essentially, what his recommended condition would be is to condition it that no permanent operations such as feed storage, manure management, propane tanks, equipment and vehicle parking, or additional structures would be between the barn and the road right-of-way.
thank you. There are two conditions suggested in our staff report. Marv, are everybody on that page? 50-foot permanent grass buffer shall be planted and maintained around the perimeter of the new barn, which is a pretty common one that we do. And the property owner shall ensure that no activity, including parking of equipment or structures, are placed between the barn and the road right-of-way. Does that meet what you were thinking, Marv?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I have a few more questions.
Everybody else good with those conditions? There might be other conditions, but good with those two?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead, Marv.
The other questions are, this is really good, heavy farm agricultural land, and, you know, we try to do our best to keep as much of that possible in production. How many acres of this is going to be going away because of this building? Do you have an idea?
I roughly don't have an idea, but
Couple acres?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
What is the plan is that, I'm assuming they're going to probably keep them at the same level and haul a lot of fill in, or what is the plan for that area to build a solid base for that barn?
I think they would get most of their fill from between on the north side of the barn, of the existing barn. And this barn would probably be about a foot lower. The new one would be a foot lower than the old, or the one existing right now.
So then the remaining, once it's back up and going, will that remaining land be farmed?
Probably the neighbor, he would cut the grass for hay, the stuff that's not mowed
Okay.
close to the barn.
Okay, is that, then now it's all in corn there, so,
Yeah, and then I would probably have the other neighbor, whatever is left on the north far side, probably corn, if he wanted to, depending how much acreage is left. There should be a decent amount, I think, that he could get off of it.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Marv. Anybody else have any comments at this time? Any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
is this with Pilgrim, or who is this with?
Yep, Pilgrim.
And is that barn proposed a set size that they have? It's not like you can make that smaller to fit the back setback?
Yep, yeah, that's the normal size that,
And so it'd be the same size as the existing barn there?
yep.
And some of the questions that we have to answer here are practical difficulties. The practical difficulty here, as I see it, is that it's a set structure that you can't change the size of it to place it in there. So it needs to have this variance closer to the road because it can't meet the far back
Yep,
setback, correct?
correct.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chair.
Any other, go ahead, Clint.
So Carter, in the staff report, I didn't notice like a manure management plan. So I'm assuming that you, just transfer, you just get rid of the manure to neighbors or whatever.
Yep,
But do you have a manure management plan, and is that what that plan is?
I have like an agreement, and then Robert came out
Okay,
last week, last week I think
Okay.
he came out early, and then, so he inspected the feedlot again,
okay,
and then I think a manure management plan, if I do get this second barn, I would need, I think, a manure manager
Yep.
to test the manure.
Yep.
And send it in.
yep. And that can still entail just transferring manure, but that's why I was asking, I didn't see one in here, so
Yep.
you probably have to do it, but if you're working with Robert, that'll be taken care of. So then, picking up the eggs and your feed and all that, you're gonna do that, pick up the eggs, manure and all that, you're gonna do on the east end of the barn, correct?
The egg pickup is actually on the north side,
Okay,
but everything else, and that's 3 times a week.
okay,
And that's maybe takes them about 20 minutes
Yep.
a day,
Okay.
or like out of them 3 days.
okay. But, so you understand if this would go through, that you gotta push manure to the east, not to the roadside.
Yep.
Don't put feed tanks on the end, it should be either on the north or the south side.
Yep.
Okay. One question too, I wasn't there Friday with the group, but I did swing by there yesterday about 12:30. What's that building that's just south of your existing building now?
That was an old barn
Okay,
that,
oh, I see it now, I
Yeah.
didn't go in up in there to see.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was part of a
yeah,
manure thing or part of your operation or whatever, but I see that now, okay. So then, where the barn, your proposed spot for this new barn, if we were gonna go to the east any farther, that field gets pretty low, don't it?
if you moved it to, yeah, yep,
Way
it
to the
starts to
east.
drop.
Yep.
It drops off.
And then if
pretty
you go
quick.
further to the north quite a bit, it'd be the same,
Yeah.
from what I could tell. So really, the only real low stuff is gonna be the northeast corner of this new proposed barn, but it's not terrible drop off like it would be if you kept going east.
Yep, correct. I think 6 feet,
Yeah.
because.
It drops. It looked like it, you know, there's corn and all that, but looking at it, it looked like it was a big drop. Okay. Okay, so I think that's all I really had. I think I'm good, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Clint.
Mr. Chair, for the record, I was there almost at the same time Clint was.
Really?
He drove out. I didn't see him, but yeah, yesterday I was there about 12:30. So,
And also for the record, John, Brent, myself, and Amy were there on Friday. On Friday, the 8th, 18th, or whatever it was. Okay, all right, any other questions? Ready for public comment? Yeah, sit back and listen. Any public input at this time? Any public input at this time? If there's no public input at this time, we'll close it to public input and proceed with the questions. Reference to question number 1 for the applicant. Now, you've answered all the questions very well, but twice as many barns doesn't mean twice as many trucks. You've got one truck, one stop for picking up eggs. One truck will pick up both barns, I assume.
Yep,
One truck will deliver or fill both grain tanks, I suppose.
yep,
So, same number of trips. As far as, you know, I suppose the barns won't be stocked at the same time or cleaned at the same time, probably.
that would be about the only difference, would be the stocking of the birds and then clean out would be about the same, because he would just use the same,
So neighbors aren't going to see much change in activity,
no.
no burden on the roads,
No.
as you'd stated. Okay. All right, anybody else before we go to the questions? All right, and we'll proceed with them. The request is in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the Morrison County Land Use Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan. Starting out with John.
This is in harmony. It's in the ag zone, and we're asking for another barn here at the same distance that the first barn is put up. And I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You know, the first one was granted, and the second one is looking to mimic that. So nothing more than that.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, is that enough for you, Amy?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 2 is the applicant proposes to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the land use ordinance. Marv?
yes, and as the DRT meeting, they had some concerns. The county engineer went over it, reviewed it, seen there were no problems with the existing barn. So with the conditions, he recommended, and Carter was okay with these conditions. So it falls very well into proposing using this in a reasonable manner. Basically won't be any more traffic than he really has, and has done a great job with it in the past.
Okay, any additions to that? Just like to add that on-site, the applicant stated that, you know, all manure is off-site within 2 days and off to a proper storage or field application. Okay, now question number 3, will the issuance of the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? Brent?
Yes, I mean, this is ag land use currently. It's going to continue to be utilized for agricultural with a second poultry barn, and continuing to have cropland just slightly reduced there. So is it, you know, maintain the essential character of the locality? It does. It'll continue to be utilized as a egg poultry barn and agricultural production.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? On to question number 4, is alleged practical difficulty due to circumstances unique to the property? That's my question, and I think the applicant has answered that quite well. He's proven the practical difficulty. It's a 20-acre lot, which meets the minimum requirement for a Tier 1 feedlot. The barn design and the size of the lot requires a setback, a variance. And in order to meet, it can't meet one setback or the other. It can't meet the rear setback or the right-of-way setback, one or the other. For some reason, back in, was it 10 years ago, when the first variance was given, they decided to use up right-of-way rather than encroach on the neighbors, probably to preserve ag land, and met no resistance at that time and set it up for this precedent. So kind of an answer to question number 5 at the same time is that the previous variance that was granted set this up. Also, just the design of the parcel of land itself, barn design, and how they are engineered. Just wouldn't fit, but meets all other county ordinances and requirements. Anybody else on question number 4? Question number 5 is the need for the variance created by actions other than the landowner or prior landowner. Clint?
Yes, this project or this proposed variance, he meets every setback except for the road right away. And I think the reason for that is he's a poultry farmer. He's in business with another entity, Pilgrim's Pride. They have a set size of barns. It ain't like he could tell him he needs to get it 117 feet shorter. It's one or none. And for the young man to continue to make a living in ag, which it's zoned ag, and make a living, you always have to add. Everything in life, you always need more to keep going. So he's looking to do something in ag. It's ag business. I think the size of that building really puts him in a bind here. So I think it is, yes, the need for this variance is created by actions other than the landowner and prior landowners. I think it's a lot to do with the barn size.
Okay, any additions to question number 5? I think also what Clint pointed out earlier, the lay of the land also has to a certain extent, the need for the variance from the road right-of-way versus the rear setback, the rear property setback. Number 6, does the alleged practical difficulty involve more than just economic considerations? John?
I think we've hammered the size of the barn and the layout of the lot significantly on this one, and I'll stick with that.
Yep, anything else? This barn is going to cost the same no matter where you put it. So it's not gaining anything by this variance other than just the ability to continue farming and to stay in a viable business. So nothing to do with economics. Okay, we have, are we ready for the vote on these questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay, number 1 is the request in harmony with the general purposes intent of the Morrison County Land Use Ordinance and Comprehensive Plan. John?
Yes.
Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Myself is yes. Clint?
Yes.
Number 2 is the applicant proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the Land Use Ordinance. Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Myself is yes. Clint?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Number 3, will the issuance of the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? Brent?
Yes.
Myself is yes. Clint?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And Marv?
Yes.
Number 4 is alleged practical difficulty due to circumstances unique to the property. Myself is yes. Clint?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Marv?
Yes.
And Brent?
Yes.
Number 5 is the need for the variance created by actions other than the landowner or prior landowners. Clint?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
And myself is yes. Number 6, does the alleged practical difficulty involve more than just economic considerations? John?
Yes.
Marv?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Myself is yes. Clint?
Yes.
Okay, all the question has been answered to the affirmative. Is there a motion to grant this variance request with the 2 added conditions?
Was there only two conditions? Okay, with them two conditions, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I'd second that.
motion is made by Marv, seconded by Brent. Any discussion on the motion? If there's no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. I'll take a roll call vote. Aye in favor, nay against. Marvin?
Aye.
Brent?
Aye.
Myself is aye. Clint?
Aye.
And John?
Aye.
All in favor? Your variance request has been, okay, granted. Yeah, whatever, approved. Your requests are granted, sir.
So Carter, your next step would be to work with Rob on the permitting of the barn when you're ready for construction, okay?
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it.
Well, good luck to you. You got a lot of work ahead of you.
Yeah. So then
Thanks for staying in ag.
comes in, yeah, in the mail. like
You will
the
get a copy,
requests.
yes, so once I drop the findings and everything, you'll get a copy of that,
Okay.
of this in the mail, and then it's also recorded on the property
Okay,
too.
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, guys.
Yep. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Nice to see the young men staying in
Well,
farming.
I shall shake your hand.
Started a tradition
Yep.
today.
Yeah, I think so.
If they're bad mood, they won't.
It must be in the water.
Okay, okay, I can't say no, I know a lot of Mozas, but I can't say.
Thank
luck with
you.
Yeah.
You guys have a good night.
Good night.
Too. Hey, my wife does bridal alterations if,
That's cute. He's getting married.
anyway, minutes of the previous meeting.
Mr. Chair, I so make a motion to approve.
Second that. All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting minutes approved as presented. Old business, new business?
The only thing I have, Mr. Chair, is for the September 5th meeting, there are 3 items. There's 2 planning commission items and a variance. I will not be at that meeting, so Darren Welly will be sitting in for me for that meeting, but I'll see you at the viewing and all that, but he'll be me.
Sharon the Rock Peterson will be here.
Right, Sharon the Rock Peterson will be here, yeah. Yep, so, and I think I already sent you on your calendar for viewing for the 1 item. And then we already have 5 for the 19th, so. I'm not gonna take any more,
7:30
yeah,
at that
I'm not gonna take any more. That agenda's full, so, yeah, we've got.
So little review on the next one, as long as you're here. And anything? we
On
need
the
to be-
next agenda,
Yeah, there's a creamery. Where is that? Will a viewing
Yeah.
be important or?
I don't think so. So that's a planning commission item.
Yes.
And that in a few of the figures, I've got aerial photographs, that should give you, it's pretty small scale, so that should be what I don't anticipate that you're gonna need anything more than what I've got. It's a pretty straightforward, small scale, request. The variance is not complicated, and what's the other one? Feedlot?
What lake is that on?
Crookneck.
Oh, Crook-
But it's not an encroachment on the lake, it's an encroachment on the right-of-way setback, and the township is supporting it, so I don't remember. It's kind of a blur, I've been writing so many staff reports.
I think they might be easy ones, huh?
Well, they're not complicated, they're very straightforward, and Darren should be able to navigate you through. I don't anticipate any issues with any of them as far as the applications are decent, and so, yeah.
What was the other CUP request?
It's a feedlot expansion, the creamery, and then the variance on Crookneck. So, pretty straightforward.
And 5,
The 5, there's a feedlot, and 3 variances, and a rezone.
oh, rezone.
Not complicated, though.
We'll make
for the
it
purpose of a
I'll try to
building.
make it complicated.
So, it's for the purpose of the
Bring a big
billboards.
hammer that night then.
I don't like rezones.
Nope, so
Especially after they
otherwise,
leave us.
I think that's all I have.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, meeting adjourned, 7:59.